Hello Steve, like Trek Way 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, I just watched all the Star Wars films, and one thing I sort of really felt was just how the films in the sequel trilogy do still feel like Star Wars. Probably because they're ripping off the original trilogy, but they feel like Star Wars. They look like Star Wars. They maintain the canon. Everything looks exactly right for that universe, and it works. Unfortunately, Star Trek didn't get that treatment. Star Trek they tried to make it into Star Wars. They tried to make it for non-fans. They tried to make it for the general science fiction audience. They just were trying everything but to make Star Trek. They threw out the format, they threw out the universe, they threw out the themes and things that actually made the show work, the aesthetic, the tone, just everything. They changed everything to make it something different, because that's what Kurtzman thinks is the right thing to do with Star Trek, because he doesn't actually understand what Star Trek is. He seems to think it's just like the general science fiction audience, and if you just make a Star Trek series for each sort of quadrant or each section or each subsection of the general science fiction audience or the general audience, that you're going to build the fan base up and build the franchise up. It's really not working. And there's a bunch of examples of this. Like, just give the guy plenty of rope, because whenever he does an interview, he just justifies why he shouldn't be making Star Trek. But he recently did an interview with The Ready Room, or an episode of The Ready Room, and he said this quote, which says a couple of things. At first, it actually sounds like he's trying to preemptively explain why perhaps he's not going to be making more Star Trek shows, or less, because the way Paramount's going and the rate of cancellations with the shows he is producing, he's probably not going to be making a lot of Star Trek shows after this. So it starts off on that tone and then goes into sort of explaining why he made such a mess out of the franchise. So I only want to make another Star Trek show if there's something special to say. I don't want to do it just to do more. I think that would be a huge disservice to Star Trek. More like you're unsure whether you're actually going to get to make any more. It would be a huge disservice to the fans. I think the fans would feel it instantaneously. They would know this is not authentic, because if there's one thing that Star Trek fans know, like he knows Star Trek fans, it's authenticity. So for me, it's really just about figuring out a way to make sure that we take our time, we're deliberate, we're thoughtful, and we deliver on the promise to do something different every time. He doesn't get it. You don't change Star Trek for every series. Star Trek, basically the show stays the same. The format, the themes, the type of command structure, the family, the unit, the group, just the way that the things that make Star Trek stay the same. The crews change, the locations change, basic sort of themes like they have to stay the same. And the things that change, it's like with Voyager, Deep Space Nine, you have a space station based show, you have a ship lost in space, you have the flagship just, paroling sort of, policing the explored universe. You have the original show where they're sort of exploring the universe they haven't really gone out into. You have Discovery going out for the first time. Not Discovery, Enterprise going out for the first time. They all have different, things about them, but they're just location, situation, those things change, and you get new crews, new stories. There are a million stories to tell, but they all have to be told within the Star Trek universe with the same, format and themes and things that make Star Trek identifiable, because the things that people loved about Star Trek aren't in New Trek, and that's why they're just not appealing on the same level. And he just thinks if I make different shows for every different section of the general science fiction fan base, I'll build up the franchise, I'll build up the show, I'll expand it. And he's not doing any of that. It's just counterproductive, and it just shows he doesn't know what makes Star Trek work. He doesn't know what Star Trek is, and he just thinks if he just keeps making different things, that's going to fix it, or that's the way to do it. He just doesn't get it. And the good thing about that is, whenever I see things like this, I realise just how much he doesn't get it, but at least we know he's not some insane left extreme SJW who wants to destroy Star Trek like Doomcock would have you believe. But he really just doesn't get it. And he's really trying to make a good show, and he thinks what he's doing is going to work, and he thinks, because he just thinks in terms of general science fiction, he doesn't get what made Star Trek special. And yeah, he just doesn't get it. And it's just more proof. And I had to do a video, I had to talk about it for a minute. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of, just giving Kurtzman more rope to do more interviews and just show, how he just doesn't get Star Trek and shouldn't be producing Star Trek. Because maybe someone will read it and, get rid of him. Maybe the new people who come in with Sony or whatever, or the new people who eventually come in at some point with Star Trek, because I don't think it's going to all stay as it is now. There's going to be a lot of changes with Paramount selling and that, and I'm hoping with all that someone, looks at him and goes, I don't think he gets it, and finds someone else to take it over, and that he bows out gracefully. I don't know. I'm still being optimistic. I'm still being hopeful. I can't accept Star Trek is gone, and I believe it's going to come back somehow. I have faith. It's just going to take a lot of patience. But I'm going to go. Bye.